Hello, and welcome to the first ever edition of Copper Bulletins, the Warning Army fan podcast. My name's Mark,
I am Mikey.
and welcome to the podcast. Okay, well, I think before we go any further, just in case anyone has found this video and doesn't know who they are, who are the Warning? Now, the Warning are a rock band from Monterrey, Mexico, consisting of three sisters, Daniela, Paulina, and Alejandra. And we're really big fans, and we wanted to spread the word.
Yes. So, they mainly got their start on YouTube.
Yeah,
Got very popular through the Enter Sandman cover when it was released in 2013, I believe.
is that what 22 million views now?
Kind of just going for it, just swinging and hoping we hit something. Um, then from that cover, they got invited onto the Ellen DeGeneres show,
And
and
she was
then
very
from
generous. She
there,
gave them money.
yes, Ellen DeGeneres.
Yes.
I respect the pun. Um, from there, they went to Berkeley College of Music,
Yeah, I mean, I think that
and
really helped
then
them a lot in terms of stagecraft and learning how to become performers. And
yeah,
I know obviously Ali learnt from David Ellefson off Megadeth, and I know he still keeps track of her progress today.
fun
So
fact to anyone who did not know
yeah,
that.
and
Um,
they quickly moved on then from doing cover songs to doing original music.
yes, that started in with the release of the EP "Escape the Mind" in 2015, which extended into their first full album, 21st Century Blood, in 2017, which then grew into Queen of the Murder Scene in 2018. In the summer of 2019, they released the single Narcisista,
Which was
and
first
now
single in Spanish.
first single in Spanish, first song in Spanish,
Yes.
and then a part if you include the Rudy
Oh
monologue
yeah,
from Dust to Dust.
that little bit.
And now we are currently in the waits for album number 3.
Yeah, but it's fascinating. It really does blow my mind because currently, Danny's 20, Pow is 18, and Ali's 15, and they've got two full albums under their belt. Currently working on a third. When I was 15, I think I was just getting drunk under a bridge somewhere. So
I was 15. I was probably doing what I am now, which is talking to people from home. Uh, Leave in the comments, or like 5 of you who are watching. When you were 15, what were you doing, and does it compare to what Ali is doing now?
it's. I mean, they're really talented, and that's been clear from a very young age. But on top of that, they've just got this incredible work ethic, which is just
Yes,
very admirable. They practice
it's.
all the time.
I'm pretty sure they have this work rate to prove to everyone who watches them just how lazy you yourself are.
Yeah, it's very humbling sometimes to see how much work they do, and and they produce some great music, which you and I both listen to a lot. And it's actually quite
Is it
interesting for me because
is it an addiction at this point?
kind of, I think so. But certainly for me, being a little bit older than you, um,
Slightly.
I it's been a long time since I've really sort of found a new band to listen to, and certainly one that I've kind of not. I haven't found anything that I've fangirled over in quite some time. So
To tell me you didn't fangirl over One Direction, man.
no, they're not quite. But yeah, I mean, when I was like, when I was a teenager, so into music, and you get really invested in bands. But as you get older, and you've got this to come, you do kind of drift away from it a bit. You think you're gonna really stay, on the edge, cutting edge of things. You'll keep finding new music, and then you just find yourself listening to the same stuff for 20 years. So
Yeah,
it's been
sounds
really
about
exciting for
right.
me to really sort of find a new band to latch onto, and one that's very early on in their career. Because again, I never used to find bands
Yes.
early on. I
You always
just
had to jump on the bandwagon. You never started on just this
yeah.
little wagon getting slowly pushed along.
Yes, I was very much back of the queue, right at the back of the bus. All the other seats were already full. So this is really
On the
exciting for me.
fifth bus going that day.
Yeah, but I think that segues very nicely into. I guess regularly we'll try and put some warning news in the podcast. Obviously, with the current situation,
When you have some,
there's
which
not an
should
awful lot
be.
of scope for news because no
I
one can go
mean,
anywhere. But we,
all the news is just gonna be like, hey, this album's in production now. And it's just gonna be that each week. They're very good at keeping secrets. Point
so
proven by the fact that we we have we have very little to work with on what it's actually gonna be,
no,
besides the fact that Martirio is gonna be on it.
yeah. But at the same time, we are getting a lot of insight and behind the scenes looks into
Yes,
what's going on during the production of this album. So they are being very, very.
yes,
We're not getting any details in terms of music or lyrics or anything like that, which is probably good because I don't want spoilers. But in terms of the production process and that sort of the recording techniques, we're getting in studios. We're getting plenty of behind the scenes, which is it's nice to have that kind of
yeah,
access. I
yeah.
mean,
Because we said you don't really get this access to any other band, really.
not that I've ever seen, but as obviously for older bands, it wasn't the way. You didn't have the scope to do it.
Yes, you didn't have an Instagram to post
No,
to your story. This is what we're doing.
but obviously the warning. They're all young. They grew up with social media, so I guess it seems more natural to them to just do this. Um,
Yes, although now I am slightly aware that someone's gonna tell us, someone that like a band that does this now,
I'm
and
sure
it's
there's
gonna be
plenty. I've just not
ridiculous.
found them yet.
They has to be.
Yeah, everyone's got Instagram these days. I think it's worth pointing out as well. So you and me, you and I, we both support the band on Patreon, and
Yes.
which we think is great. We get some great rewards from that. But even outside of Patreon, or on like Instagram, they've been sharing an awful lot of stuff about this album. So even if you don't want to support them
Yes.
on Patreon, go follow them on Instagram, and you'll see some really interesting stuff about this recording process.
It's like I can't recommend highly enough that anyone who watches this go subscribe to them on Patreon or follow on Patreon, whatever it's called to do on Patreon. Everything from the $1 tier to the I believe the highest is $200 tier. Any tier you're on, it is worth the value of it. But even if you can't afford it or you're too young to, just make a Patreon account, just subscribe, just follow them on Instagram. They are now up to about 91,000 followers,
And they
and
just got their
all
blue tick.
91,000 followers, and they just got
Yes.
verified. Yes.
Yeah.
Uh, but all 91,000 of us, I'm pretty sure I can speak for every one of them, feels very included and it feels very inclusive for everyone. It's like all 91,000 of us feel like we're on the same journey together, even if we're not all on Patreon.
Yeah, you definitely do feel like almost like part of the process with this album. And I think a special mention has to go to Mr. David Bendeth, who is producing this album.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I'd never really heard of him before. Again, when I was younger and really into bands, I used to like always look up producers and find out about their names. But as you get older again, you drift away a bit and it becomes you don't have the time.
Mark was
Um,
in back in the
I really
90s.
was, but yeah, David Bendeth, really experienced musician. You worked with Jeff Beck back in the day, who is one of Danny's heroes. And the thing that stood out most when I looked through his Wikipedia page was that he produced Paramore's Riot, which is a banger of an album.
Yes, he also worked on Breaking Benjamin, which if anyone has played Halo 2, you'd know from that.
Yes, they had a
And
track.
he's worked on
Yeah,
Asking Alexandria.
yeah. I mean, he's got this massive list of production and writing credits, and he just seems like a
Yes,
great
like
guy.
he does seem like a very nice gentleman. And we should also point out, we just listed some. His list of what he's worked on is too long for us
What? Yeah, I
to
mean,
include in a podcast.
the guy's got like what 40 year career, something like that. I don't know. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's long, and he's been making plenty of guest appearances on the Warnings Instagram feed. Honestly,
Yes, as they've done on his.
honestly, I kind of want him to adopt me. He just seems like a really great guy. He seems really fun. He looks like he'd feed you well, which so yeah.
I mean,
Don't
sad thing
look
is
at me
I
like.
can't argue that
How
point.
about to say
I
you've been
can't even
thinking it
argue
too?
the point.
Exactly.
I didn't say that much,
But now,
but I'm not gonna disagree with you.
but now you're thinking about it and you're thinking actually. But yeah, so
Speaking of lovely gentlemen, I think from David Bendis, we also need to mention Rudy,
yes, the Warnings manager, the legend that is
another man I'm
Rudy
sure
Joffroy.
Mark would love to be adopted by.
I would, but he's like a year younger than me, so that would be kind of weird. I don't think that works. So I think we're probably coming towards the end of what we got to say, but I wanted to
Not
spend
much.
no, it's not loads, but we wanted to spend a little bit of time just explaining why we decided to do a podcast. Because I'll be honest, we've not put an awful lot of thought into this.
This was a very impulse decision.
It really was. We kind of Leroy Jenkins into it without an awful lot of thought.
I can tell you the whole backstory is Mark telling me he had a podcast idea, me going, I'm down to do that idea, and then just us making this podcast for you.
Yes. So crash course in OBS and trying to figure out the best way to record it. Things might well change because a
This could be
lot
the
of learning.
this could be our last episode of the Warning podcast.
That's also another definite possibility. But there is a really great community in the fan base, not just both within Patreon and outside. And we've all met some great people through following this band, and just to demonstrate how wide reaching the sort of the fan base is. I'm over here in England. Mikey, you're not.
I am in New York.
Yeah, so transatlantic podcast already.
Neither of us from Mexico.
No, neither is from Mexico. Neither of us speak Spanish. I know a little bit from school. I could probably.
I know the word narcissista
Yeah,
now.
I probably wouldn't starve to death, and I might be able to find a train station, but that's about it.
I can go up to someone in the street, say they're a narcissist, and then just go nah 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 in their face.
That'll probably get you a slap. But there's
That could be the goal. Get slapped in Mexico.
But certainly from my time following the band, one thing I've come to find out is there's some really great stories that fans have got about this band and about their time following the band. Whether it's
and they're all very unique.
They are, and it's whether from following them just on social media, from going to see them live, or just from how they discovered them. Everyone's got a story, and you know what? I kind of want to hear them. And I've read some stuff on Facebook groups or on Patreon, but I don't think you can beat a proper conversation. So hopefully, our plan is to is to basically always have someone else on this podcast with us, have another fan, just for that extra perspective and to hear their stories, to find out what they've got to say about the band and to share the love.
Yes. The plan is to have more than one episode, and it's going to hopefully from now on be more than just Mark and I, but actually people within the community joining us.
Yeah. We do have a short list drawn up of people we want to collar. So you know, keep your eyes open because we might be coming for you. That sounds really creepy. It's not like that. It's in a friendly way.
In a friendly way.
Yeah,
You have been warned.
you have the good warning. But
And then,
I mean,
yeah.
it's not the best sort of justification for a podcast. That one of the reasons we're doing it is we were talking about the idea on Discord, and someone said, "Oh, this is good. I'm running out of things to fall asleep to."
I mean, we're not gonna call this person out by name.
No.
You know who you are. You may very well be the only person who watches this.
While falling asleep, which is not a great
They
advert.
may fall asleep by this part. They may not even know this part happened.
No, but it's not a great advert, but it's the best we've got.
Listen, we're gonna take any ounce of usefulness we have and put into this podcast.
Yes.
If we are melatonin or whatever people take to go to sleep, then I'll do that, you
Yeah.
know?
And I think another reason for doing this is there's not a lot. You can't go any. Well, certainly in the UK, you can't really go anywhere at the moment. We're on lockdown, stuck inside all the time. So you got to find something to do.
Yeah. May as well, we have too much time on our hands. That's another major reason we're doing this.
Absolutely. You got to fill the hours somehow. One thing I want to ask you, and we'll do because again, we'll ask it to anyone who's on the podcast in future. How did you actually discover the band? What's your warning discovery story?
It's gonna be the most boring story ever because it's the same as 90% of people's, which is I was on YouTube and the Sandman cover came up.
It always starts with YouTube.
It does. I want Instagram to start promoting them more. Please, if someone follows Metallica, just recommend them the warning.
It's interesting because I never saw that video until after discovering the band. It's one that passed me by.
It should be said that I was in a massive Metallica phase when I discovered them, which was summer 2019. So just got recommended it. I liked it. I saw them a long time ago, and I said, I wonder if they've done anything recently. And I was pleasantly surprised. They've done quite a lot recently.
They really, I think that's the biggest thing. I was hunting. I was trying to learn how to play "Kickstart My Heart" by Motley Crue. So what I was doing, I was watching different covers of it, just to try and pick up the rhythm from what different people were doing. And I saw their cover. I'm not gonna lie. From watching it, I thought they were all in their mid-20s or something. I had no idea how young they were. And I got a couple of other recommendations. Yeah, and there were a couple of other recommendations, and I saw that they had original music. Okay, click through a couple of these, and it's like, hang on, they're kind of young. How are they this good? But the first original one I came across was "Survive," which I'm
usually the original song.
I'm positive that will basically end up being like their Freebird. That's the song that everyone yells for in the future. And it's kind of got that, obviously the outro jam.
30 years from now, we'll still want Survive.
Drunken Mikey at the back of a bar shouting Survive. But I'm not going to lie. When it started, I wasn't sure about it. Because obviously it's got...
simple keyboard intro.
Sounded a little bit twee. Okay, where are we going with this? And then Powell just starts leathering those drums like they've just kicked a cat. And it's like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. And obviously then they went into that...
Zelda the cats.
Yeah, and then they went into that jam at the end. I was like, okay. And that was it. I was hooked then. Right, well, I think we're pretty much at the end now. I honestly don't know how often we're going to record these. Like I say, we've not planned this much, have we, Mikey?
We've not. No. We could do one more. We could do 0 more. We could do an entire series worth. We could be doing this 5 years from now.
Yeah, but we're gonna try and do it semi regularly, and certainly if there's actually anything interesting warning related to talk about,
Yes.
I can I can imagine this being a lot easier to do and find material for when there are things like tours and shows
Concerts.
occurring.
Yes.
Do you remember those?
When yes, when everyone isn't locked
Yeah,
inside. Shame that when all of that's happening, people are gonna have day-to-day lives they have to attend to.
yeah. I vaguely have some recollection of that, but it was so long ago. But if you,
Remembers worth.
yeah, but yeah, if you've made it to the end of this, then wow, thank
Nearly
you,
falling
and I'm
asleep.
amazed.
Haven't fallen asleep.
I mean, what I mean, I know YouTube. It's normally a like, comment, and subscribe. I'd say go and subscribe to the Warning. They're far more interesting and more deserving than us. So yeah, go and subscribe to them.
Yeah, we're not gonna complain if you subscribe us.
No, but I'm going to complain if you don't subscribe to the Warning.
Yes. Leave a like or a dislike, whatever your preference is.
Yeah, we're not that fussed, but if you want to engage with us, go engage with us, and we will engage back. Like I say, if you've made it to the end, thanks for listening, and
Congratulations.
congratulations, and we'll see you on the next one.